Thank you. You can take your seats. Gael ofyn rwan i'r ymgeisydd cefnogwr yn ymlaen I siarad os gwelwch chi dda Mr. Sidi, please. I will give the reason why there are two people sitting there. If there's any technical questions where somebody wants to ask, that is the opportunity when our second speaker would address. Otherwise, he's there just to keep Mr. Sidi company. Can I remind you, sir, again, you also have 6 minutes to give your address, where after that there will be a short question time, same as everybody else. Your 6 minutes starts when you're ready, sir.
Thank you, Chair. We stand before you today committed to a unique opportunity for Anglesey that supports it as the energy island and promotes it as the enterprise island. It's now nearly 4 years since we approached Anglesey Aluminium and with our vision. They recognise our experience, our sound financial backing and our history of delivering large-scale transformational developments in the UK and our understanding of the existing public amenity. They know that we will steward this important site and ensure the legacy benefits. We present a scheme that balances huge economic benefit and substantial job creation with the preservation and indeed enhancement of important landscape and heritage. Land and Lakes wish to be a partner in Anglesey for the long term, and in preparing this scheme we've adopted an open and responsive approach. Our master planning has required very sensitive landscape-led thinking and extensive community consultation. At every stage we've listened carefully to feedback and where possible we've made changes. And our consultation has included a public exhibition, a radio debate, circulation of 5,000 leaflets, meetings with the residents' associations, schools, community groups, town council and the Welsh Government. Our website has been continually updated with the responses. Updates, and most importantly, gives a history of the plans as they have evolved. The scheme will deliver considerable public benefit. At Penrhos, the designation of the coastal path as a public right-of-way, public access to 73 acres of land, including 37 acres of woodland, a new visitor centre at Bedmannoch House, 5 miles of paths, trails, with access to 2 new coastal restaurants, all paid for and managed by us forever. At Caiglas, a new 100-acre nature reserve with its own dedicated visitor centre on land which is currently inaccessible to the public. And at Kingsland, 50% affordable housing with new areas of public open space and woodland planting. Members may not be aware that for the last 2.5 years we've been voluntarily contributing to the annual £250,000 maintenance budget to keep Penrhos Coastal Park open and safe for the public to use as a recognised valuable amenity.
If Land and Lakes gets this permission, will you still be running it in 10, 15 years' time? Or is it your intention to sell it off or have other people running it?
Well, we have a history, Kingwell Park and ourselves have a history of holding the assets. So Kingwell Park, I think, has been in ownership for maybe 15 years. But the answer to the question is it's a long-term involvement with Anglesey. And I said that in my speech, and we hold to that.
Okay. You also mentioned, well, it's mentioned in the various reports that you'll be accommodating 3,000–4,000 workers from the proposed Wilva site. Have you got a legal agreement with Horizon for you to carry out this work?
No. If I may, just a bit of information and background. We've worked with Horizon Nuclear Power for 4 years, since we came to approach Anglesey Aluminium. Their whole arrangement has changed. Obviously, as you're aware, RWE and E.ON fell away, and now Hitachi are the new owners. All along the way, we have established a good relationship and understanding of why what we're doing is ideal and a perfect fit for what they want. But there is no formal legal agreement, and there can't be until they are another little while down the line of getting a milestone for themselves, which probably involves the strike price being announced by the government. So we have a relationship, but no formal contract.
Have they acknowledged to you then that they're in favour of your proposals or against?
100% in favour. They have written a letter of support that is part of this application. In my speech, actually said that they see this of strategic importance to the Wilbur new build. So I say it's 100% supportive.
There are several instances, both in your report and possibly, definitely in the report from the planning officers, that there will be a great strain, great pressure, greater demand on some of the emergency services on Anglesey, particularly in the area of Holyhead. There are suggestions there that you contribute, say, towards new libraries, new health centres, new leisure centres, and possibly or probably new schools. Now that all involves a substantial amount of money.
It does.
Will you be going ahead with those proposals or those conditions?
What we've said is that we will mitigate, and we are first in. We're like the first application that involves anything to do with nuclear new build. And what we've said is we will mitigate and we will contribute and make a financial contribution to those, but they must be assessed prior to the development going forward, at which point Horizon Nuclear Power will have assessed their necessary mitigation. So in the round, we're making sure that that mitigation is available for the local area. But yes, we have to make sure we have an appropriate contract with Horizon Nuclear Power. To make the point, we cannot develop Kai Glass in Kingsland without nuclear agreeing to a contract to actually house the workers on the site. So it's hand in hand.
As I said, it is a substantial amount that will be involved. Can you give a rough idea as to what your contribution is likely to be?
No, because we're only at an outline application stage. We're making a principle. And that principle will go forward to look at the detail much further down the line. But the fact is we're making a commitment.
We've seen, and we had a quick glance at the map of Anglesey just as we came in earlier on, and it showed that practically the whole of Holy Island is an area of outstanding natural beauty. Here again, how can you substantiate a development of this size that's going to be, well, basically it'll ruin the coastline and these areas for many, many years to come?
Okay, I understand the issue with development in the AONB, but Anglesey's whole of Anglesey's coastline is AONB effectively. We are developing 0.5% of Anglesey's AONB to provide something unique and a real step change, a transformational development to change the fortunes of Holyhead specifically, but Anglesey and if not North Wales. I think you have to put everything in context, and I think that's what the committee report has assessed. there are numerous advantages as well as understandable developing in an AOMB.
Thank you.
Just well.
Mr Sidi, Councillor Victor Hughes muted the issue of pollutants on a particular area near the inland sea.
Yes.
My question is, given that, and please correct me if I'm wrong, that this is a mitigating factor, that this is a community payback, and this is an area that is going to be given back to the community to walk, and to canoe and to sail maybe?
Not to canoe and sail. This is a triple SI. We're very controlled access to the waterway, so we have to be very careful there.
Okay. Can I just finish my question?
Oh, sorry.
And so it's going to be a public area. My understanding is that this is an area that for the last 40 years has been used as a tip for Anglesey aluminium. But prior to that, I understand it was a landfill site for many, many, many years. And as a result of that, I would assume that it's highly toxic under that ground. What toxicology tests have you carried out so far? And when do you anticipate that this is an area that will become open to the public?
It's quite a technical question and would involve, that's why I had to just consult. There's numerous technical assessments that have been done to look at that area. A lot of work that was done by Anglesey Aluminium. There are huge reports that look at the monitoring. But we are committed to ensuring that leachate, because there are some leachate breakouts there, are stopped. And that ground has been capped and landscaped for many, many years, and gas monitoring has been done on that site for many, many years. I am confident that we'll be able to bring that back into the public use without a problem.
Thank you. So, queste io questo è trasportato.
Another matter that transgresses all sites is the fact that there are a number of historical or archaeological sites. Without seeing the whole of your plans, will they involve disturbing, removing, or again, ruining some of these sites?
Above ground, obviously we've got historical issues above ground and potential archaeological issues below ground. But above ground, very much it's about bringing those property and buildings back into use again, and actually maintaining and enhancing those historical assets. So that's very much key to our tourist offer as well. So yeah, very important.
Yeah. What steps have you taken to see that a full evaluation process takes place for all three sites?
We as part of this whole application, will carry out a conservation management plan, which is a very in-depth study. We've already done initial studies of all our heritage assets on the site, and we'll continue to do that. It's quite an intrinsic part of our offer to the tourists. Yeah.
There's mention made in the reports that there's a high-powered gas pipeline that goes through the Caiglas site. Is that likely to remain in situ?
It will definitely remain in situ, and it doesn't go through the site. It runs almost parallel with the A55, so we have no intentions of disturbing or moving that high-powered gas line there.
Okay.
Thank you. Are there any radio question back at all?
Sorry, I just wanted to ask, seeing that all three of the sites were so important to one another as they were so integrated, and they all seem to be very much dependent on Wilbur, does that mean that if Wilbur does not come, that this site does not go ahead?
No, that's absolutely correct in your assessment there. All three sites are linked together, but if Wilbur does not progress, we cannot build Caiglas and we cannot build Kingsland, and Penrhos stands alone as a standalone leisure destination, and that it has enough critical mass for us to develop that on its own. And the nature reserve on Kai Glass.
How does that stand within a hybrid application then?
Can Mr. Suckley answer that? It's a technical hybrid.
The hybrid application, what a hybrid application means is that some elements are proposed in outline and some elements are proposed in full detail. So the majority of the application is proposed in outline, so all the nuclear workers' accommodation and the legacy uses, and the majority of the leisure development is promoted in outline. The detailed elements of the proposals relate to the change of use of the existing buildings. So that's what is meant by hybrid. Was your question more to do with why is the planning application been proposed for all three sites?
You just see all three coming together to go as one, if you can still progress with one individually or not, basically, more than anything.
Well, the intention is that we will progress with all of it, and the feedback that Land and Lakes through their discussions with Horizon over the last 4 years is supportive, and subject to securing the planning permission, we hope to move forward with the nuclear workers development. If for whatever reason a legal agreement can't be agreed, then Kai Glass and Kingsland wouldn't come forward for development.
Thank you.
Fysa Kai Glass a Kingsland ddim yn digwydd os ydy Wylfa ddim yn mynd yn ei flaen, ond mi fydd yna ganiatâd cynllunio arno fo, a mi fedrwch chi werthu'r safle yna efo ganiatâd cynllunio arno fo.
But the planning permission is only dependent on initially accommodating a Wylfa nuclear workforce. Therefore, it has no value. It is effectively, if Wylfa nuclear do not utilise it, it cannot be developed. Therefore, it is agricultural land.
There's an obligation which would be imposed on the planning permission that if a deal couldn't be done with Horizon and nuclear workers' accommodation couldn't be developed, then no development would happen on the Kai Glass or Kingsland site as part of this development.
On this point just raised, and from a personal point of view, my brother is heavily involved in the running of the cricket pitch at penrhos. If Kai Glass doesn't go ahead, what facilities will be provided for something like the cricket pitch that have been removed from penrhos?
Yeah. The proposals are that if you develop penrhos, then, or when you develop penrhos, then a new cricket field, an alternative cricket field and football pitches will be provided on alternative sites, of which we show it on Kai Glass. So, to be clear, if Wylfa does not progress or does not accommodate their workers on Kai Glass or Kingsland, we will develop penrhos and we will provide a new cricket pitch, football pitches and new nature reserve on Kai Glass. That's all we can develop on Kai Glass. That is it. No other development. But it offers the mitigation for developing penrhos.
We're aware of several similar developments right across the country where promises might have been made that local people would be employed, but it turns out that cheaper staff workers come from Eastern Europe. What assurances can you give that the figure of between 450 and 600 people employed at penrhos, or across all three sites, that they will be that will be from Anglesey?
Well, we make a commitment that we will prioritise local labour. We make a commitment that we will provide training and apprenticeships that actually look to train the local people. We've got a provision for the facility management for looking at the nuclear new build programme, and they specifically have looked at this area with us and suggested something along the lines of a University of Hospitality, where we really look to train and bring those local people into a career path, looking at a whole hierarchy of jobs and careers. So it's in our interests to employ locals. We want to employ locals. It actually makes sense for us to do so, rather than employing Eastern Europeans that will all of a sudden give the wrong impression, which is about providing a Welsh leisure village. So I can only give you my view as to our proposals sit on the table, which we're sat in front of you today, which is about prioritising locals.
Thank you. Diolch.
Mr Sidi, dwi'n cael gofyn un cwestiwn arall. Kingsland, ydw i'n iawn yn credu bod mae'r tir yna yn yr angen, a mae hefyd yn tir amaethyddol da. Ydych chi wedi ystyried o gwbl bod yna seit arall? Ydych chi'n anghywir? Ond jyst yn gweld boi arall yn nodio i ben.
Sorry, I'm going to ask Mr. Suffrey because he understands that application.
It may be agricultural land, but it's not best and most versatile agricultural land, which I think is the test in the policy. So it's not the best agricultural land, and that assessment took place as part of the environmental statement which was submitted to the planning application.
It's not the best agricultural land, but it is good agricultural land. Have you considered any other alternative brown sites for this massive development?
As part of the planning application, we undertook an alternative site assessment, which I think is covered off in the committee report, which assessed alternative sites for the leisure development and for the nuclear workers' accommodation. And as part of that, it was considered that there were no alternative preferential sites for this development, which I think is the view which is supported by officers in the committee report.
Thank you. Diolch yn fawr iawn. Can I thank you, gentlemen? And please, you go back.
Thank you.
Thank you for your Ga'i ofyn rwan, os gwelwch chi dda, i'r swyddog, cynllunio, wrth y frochori.